you are listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Doesn't, thank you. Doesn't Charlie do a wonderful job in that intro part? Charlie's the guy behind the scenes that you just don't see, and he's been with me for a long, long time. And even though he's got that nasal thing, you know what I mean? Well, even though he's got that nasal thing, I really appreciate Charlie. Everybody here at the Funny Farm knows who Charlie is. Well, listen, you're listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. And whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around the world, we're thankful and we're delighted that you're listening to this show tonight. We have got a good one. We have got a man. That's not good English, is it? We have got a man. We have a man. Of course, my English has never been right. But we have a man that plays his music. And I mean, it comes from his soul. And we've had him on. It's been a long, long time since we've had him on. But ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a real treat. Now, I can almost guarantee that you are going to enjoy his music so much because his music is going to touch the emotional buttons. And there's different emotions that's going to sprout up and splurt out, and there might even be a tear shed before it's all over and done with. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you a gentleman, a fine, fine human being, and my friend, Saul Knopf. Saul, it's so good to have you, buddy.
Hey. Man, I'm so glad to be back with you, George. It's been a long time, man.
It has been. A lot of waters went under the bridge, and some bridges went underwater.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But hey, we're still here, aren't we?
Yeah, we're still standing upright, and
we are, man.
We've kind of weathered the storms, and we made it, and here we are tonight.
That's right. That's right. No place I'd rather be sitting right here talking to you tonight.
Well, old buddy, there may be some people that remember the last time you were here, but for those who haven't, and for those that might not remember, tell us a little bit about yourself and how this whole thing started with you.
Oh, my goodness. Well, goodness gracious, where to even begin? I guess with music, you know, I'm a believer that music calls to you. I think many of us certainly love music. We love to listen to music, and like you said, it has an emotional pull. It makes you feel something. But then there's a few of us that music calls to. And no matter what we try to do to ignore it and maybe take a more traditional path, whereas maybe go get a degree and be an accountant, or like my father was in the insurance business, or whatever it is that would be considered a day job or a real job. There are a select few of us where music really calls to us in a way to be artists and to be creators and performers, and it's just it really is a calling. It either calls to you or it doesn't. I don't think you can manufacture it, and so it really started with me at a very, very young age. Probably around 12 or 13 years old, I taught myself how to play guitar, and it's kind of funny story because I have an older brother, Larry, who's 5 years older than me, and an older sister, Sherry, who's close to 8 years older than me. And they both played musical instruments, took lessons, and quit. So anyway, it came time for me to want to start playing an instrument. I guess I was about 12 years old, and I asked my folks if I could take guitar lessons. I was fascinated with my brother had a beautiful Gibson SG guitar. And I wanted to learn how to play because I listened to him play a little bit. And my dad said, "No, darn it, you're just going to quit like your brother or sister." So they refused to give me lessons. And I was like, okay, well, I understand that. And I was so determined to learn that I taught myself how to play. And of course, this was years ago. You didn't have internet. You didn't have computers and YouTube, and when you taught yourself, I mean, you truly had to teach yourself back then, and that's what I did. I would wait for my brother to go out and shoot basketball or go play football with the fellows or whatever, and I'd slide that guitar out from under his bed, and I would just start. I swear to God, and I would start playing it, and I learned the chords, I memorized them, and then I would wipe that sucker down and put it back under his bed and slide it right back where it was before. So it's when I got to middle school, I was already getting to be pretty good, and my family didn't even know that I could play. And so I went out for the stage band in middle school, like 8th grade, and the music director called my dad and said, "Mr. Knopf, your son Saul would like to join the stage band, and I just wanted to touch base with you." My dad said, "What?" my son doesn't play any instrument. And he said, "Well, he most certainly does." And so anyway, one thing led to another. I put a little group together in 8th grade, played in front of 600 screaming kids in middle school. And it was like we became the Beatles, And so that was my first taste of adulation for doing something that I really love to do. And I've never stopped doing it. I've just continued to do it. And so it's taken me, I did try to go. I went to college for 2 years in Salisbury, Maryland, and was going for business degree. But I was over in the music building all the time. I think I told you this before. And my father said, "Well, listen, I'm not going to send you to college to play music. You're already playing music and making money doing it every weekend. I don't need to send you to college for that." And I decided to drop out and go on the road. And I toured for several years and came back, ended up getting married and raising a family here. And I've had all kinds of various things happen, and I've had a wonderful life so far, and I'm still going strong. I still do. I perform solo in the state of Delaware, and I do probably 240 plus shows a year. And of course, I also write songs and have albums out, and I play, and so I'm very, very busy.
And let me remind our listeners that you can go to SOL, that's Saul Knopf, KNOPF.com, SaulKnopf.com, and there you can, as the old newspaper people said, you can read all about it. You can see his bio, his music, where he's going to be. And yes, he is a Delawarean. He is right here. And we're so glad that he's here. And we're so glad that he's here tonight with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start this thing off, and then we'll come right back to him. I want to start this right off, and you're going to love his music. So listen, saddle up and ride.
You're falling on your face, falling far from grace. So get up, get up, and get back on the horse. The saddle's on your side, and dirt forever blurs the eyes of those who stay down. So get back on the horse. I've tasted my fair share of dirt and sand, but it's made me a better man. You gotta get up while you can, so you can ride, ride, ride out into this big world where the future's open wide. With the courage of a cowboy, you will never run and hide. We're born with all the strength you need inside. So saddle up and ride. The twists and turns of life you can't control. When you least expect that horse's show roll, you gotta get up and get up. Get back on the horse. Grab those reins with your two hands. It'll make you a stronger man. You gotta get up while you can, so you can ride, ride, ride out into this big world where the future's open wide. With the courage of a cowboy, you will never run and hide. You were born with all the strength you need inside. So saddle up and ride. Open wide with the courage of a cowboy, you will never run and hide. You were born with all the strength you need inside. So settle up and ride.
Oh, that is just sweet, sweet, sweet music, Saul.
Thank you. Thank you. I got to tell you a funny story about that one. You know, I wrote that because I've always been a big admirer of just successful people, specifically people who have been through tough times in their life, and no matter how many times they get knocked down, they keep getting back up. Seems to me that the most successful people in life aren't the ones who get handed stuff. It's the ones who keep getting knocked down and they get back up and they just don't quit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's what I envisioned, you know, this kind of a thing with Saddle Up and Ride. You know, no matter how many times you get knocked off the horse, you got to get back up on the horse. And so I started performing that song a lot. It's a fan favorite and so forth, and I really liked that whole metaphor for getting back up. And a couple years ago, my wife, who is an equestrian, was out riding, and the horse threw her off, and she crushed her collarbone, and her surgery was so involved that it almost she almost lost a whole year of work because of it. She's a dog groomer, a pet groomer, and it's very physical work. And boy, when your collarbone has been shattered, literally, and they have to put a rod in your shoulder, it messes you up, you know. So she started talking to me after she healed up a little bit about wanting to get back up and ride, you know. And I was like, no, don't get back up and ride. Oh, man. I knew eventually I was going to have to let her get back up and ride, but I wasn't ready for it after her losing a whole year. So anyway, so do as I say, not as I do, I guess, right?
Right. You have written some songs, and I read some of the reviews. Some of them boys are big hitters when it comes to songwriting and stuff, and you got some good things from them fellas.
Yeah. The one that really took off is a song called "My Baby Girl." It's really interesting. About 2 years after the release of that song, my nephew, who was 17 years old at the time, put together a little music video for it, and we put it up on YouTube. And I reached out to my fans and asked them if they would send me photos of, if they were ladies, send me photos of them with their fathers, or if they were fellas, send me, photos of them with their daughters, at all different age levels, whether it was babies, children, or as at a wedding or whatever. And we received over 100 photos to sift through. And I gave all those photos to my nephew, and he did some footage of me singing and playing the song. And he put a little music video together for it. And we put it up on YouTube. And, I'd had YouTube videos up on YouTube before, and it would get a few hundred views or 1,000 views, and then it would just stop and no one would ever look at it again. Mm-hmm. Well, we put this song up, and within the first 24 hours, it had 1,000 views. And then the next day it had another 1,000 views, and it just kept getting 1,000 views a day. Boom, 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 boom. And I started getting correspondence from all over the world, from people that were thanking me for the song. And it's just been an emotional thing. So at one point, and I wrote the song with a good friend of mine, Jerry Smith. I had a lot of the song and the idea and the progression and so forth in my head, but I had difficulty finishing it. And Jerry is a girl from Pennsylvania, and she's a brilliant writer. And the Bose Company had used her music to promote their products for a few years. She had a big contract with them. They loved her music so much. So she's a friend of mine, and we got together, and we'd already written another song that you loved called Average Joe. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so we end up writing this song, My Baby Girl. My nephew puts the video out. It doesn't really go viral like when the kids do some stuff and it gets 1 million views in a week, but it eventually reached 1 million views worldwide and has surpassed that. In 2015, it was chosen to be the theme song for a Million Father March out in San Bernardino County, California. And they flew me out there to headline the event. So I was real proud of that. The theme of that event was Daughters' Lives Matter. They were trying to inspire men of color to be more involved with their daughters. Mm-hmm. They've had a lot of problems with drug problems, with prostitution, with all kinds of serious problems out there. And so, they put together this event, and they utilized My Baby Girl, the song, as the theme song for their event, trying to inspire fathers to be more involved with their daughters. And then in 2016, it won first place in the Smoky Mountain Songwriters Festival in Gatlinburg. So it's done some neat things. I still get videos of fathers dancing with their daughters. A friend of mine sent me one the other day with a guy who works for the Gibson Guitar Company, and he was dancing with his daughter to the song. So it's happening all over the world, So it's wonderful, George. I've never had a record deal. I've never had a publishing deal, but the technology today does still allow for us to reach and touch people's lives in a positive way. And that's what that song has done. It's been a real blessing.
Ladies and gentlemen, My Baby Girl.
The sweetest thing a man could ever hold, wrapped in pink, only moments old, wispy locks beneath her knitted hat. I'll never forget that. The first time she walked and let go of my hand was the first day I began to understand. Each baby step away from me was a giant leap toward the woman she would be. My baby girl, I'll do my best to teach you all I know, protect you all and give you space to grow. Oh, when to hold you close and when to let you go. Before I knew it, she was driving my Chevrolet, and me and God grew close from all my praying. Then she got a ticket, going too fast, tattoos on her eyes, and I just couldn't get mad. Just like her dad, my baby girl, I'll do my best to teach you all I know, protect you all and give you space to grow. Know when to hold you close and when to let you go. Someday you'll be most beautiful bride, and I'll struggle to walk you down the aisle. No longer a girl, you'll be a woman by my side, but through that veil I'll see a child. Baby girl, I'll do my best to teach you all I know, protect you all and give you the space to grow. And I'm gonna hold you close until I have to let you go.
You're listening to the George Espenlaub Show, and didn't I tell you that Saul's music would reach down deep inside your soul and touch your emotional button? I'm emotional, and I'm not afraid to admit it by no means at all. My, oh, my, oh, my, oh, my. That was beautiful. One lady in the chat room, and by the way, everybody, the chat room is open, and there are people in there. Come on in, get yourself something to drink, something to eat, and mingle with the people. One lady said, wow. The other one said, that was such a sweet song. Mr. Temple said, soothing and comforting music. My wife says, listening in. And another lady said, Cole. So, yeah, I mean, this man's music, I'm telling you, it get down deep in the fiber of your being, and that's where I like people to take me, and that's where I hope I can take other people. Get down deep inside the soul.
Right.
You're quite busy. Give me some of your dates that are coming up and where you're going to be at.
Well, I play just about every night somewhere in Delaware. I do, like for instance, tomorrow night, which is a Thursday night, I play at a place called J.D. Shuckers in Lewis, Delaware. I do that every Thursday night from 6 to 9. I'm doing Harvest Ridge Winery on Friday night, which is in Marydale, Delaware. It's a really neat place. I've got a cool show coming up on Sunday, August 4th at the Milton Theater in Milton, Delaware. I do an annual show with several other friends of mine. You would consider them, I guess, local legends, fellows that have been really big in the music scene down at the beach. A fellow named Ed Shockley, who played in a group called Jack of Diamonds back in the day that had some great regional success. Another friend of mine, Keith Mack, who has played with major groups, toured with Joe Cocker and Paul Young and Patti Smythe and Scandal, and has done some really big things and still does a lot of touring. He toured with Cyndi Lauper a couple of years ago. And then another friend of mine, Cliff Hillis, who plays with everybody as well. Recently been touring with most of the group, that group called ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. Several of the guys from that original band tour without Jeff Lynne, and Cliff tours with them. So the four of us are on stage together, and we each take turns playing original songs and telling stories about the songs that we wrote. And man, it is so much fun. But I'd be here an hour just telling you about the places I play, because I play almost every night. But my schedule's right there on my calendar, and anytime somebody's in the Delaware area, you're sure to be able to find me somewhere.
That's right. Go to SOLKNOPF, songwriter.com, and there you can read all about it. People are saying, and I want you to know this, because one lady says, that song makes me think of my son when his baby girl grows up. Another lady said, makes me think of Brooklyn. That's her daughter. So yeah, I mean, that is totally awesome. And I can see why that song reached far.
Yeah. Well, the whole inspiration for that song for me was, now my kids are all grown now. In fact, my daughter is getting married, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So I'm going to have to walk her down the aisle and actually live out that song. But when my kids were little, the whole challenge for me was, do I want to be as tough on them as my dad was on me? And I think you and I even talked about, how much I love my dad and how tough he was. But there were times when I thought, he went a little overboard and was a little too much. And so for me, I juggled with, how close do you need to be on top of them? There's a lot of lessons that can be learned from making your own mistakes. My parents were afraid to let me make my own mistakes. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, when I became a young man, I was afraid to make mistakes. And I think it altered my course a little bit. I probably would have moved to Nashville much sooner if I wasn't so doggone afraid to make mistakes. I feared failure, I think was what it was. But of course, that's not their fault. They were being the best parents that they could be, and they did a darn good job. But I wanted to make sure that I gave my children enough room to learn to grow, make their own mistakes, but also not be negligent. And that was always the biggest struggle for me. Am I being overbearing? Am I not being attentive enough? You know? And so that was really inspiration of that song.
I always said we've raised four. My son is 50 and the girls are all in their 40s. But I always said, not one time when one of those kids was born did we get a manual that was taped to their behind.
That's right.
Not one of them.
That's right.
It's just like you said, you got to look back and see how your parents did things, and then make adjustments, because after you make adjustments, you're going to have to adjust the adjustments and then adjust some more adjustments as you adjust for the rest of their life. Did that make sense?
That's right. Yes, sir.
But
you got that right, because that's what I'm still doing. Still learning how to play my role, because our kids are from 30 years old to 25 years old. And so we're still, I'm sure you remember, it wasn't that long ago where you guys were at that place. And,
yes.
And there's you still have a role as a parent when they're at that point. And so that's where I am in my life, is with them at that point in their life. So,
ladies and gentlemen.
Anyway, but I've loved it all.
Mr. Saul says, "You're my radio."
When the time clock tick beats me down, girl, you're my escape, my getaway sound. I turn you up and I'm set free now. You're my radio, you're my radio. You're my radio. You're my radio. When I need some peace, you clear my mind. Your preset takes me to a sweet unwind, to a sunset sky on a Sunday drive. You're my radio, you're my radio. You're my radio, you're my radio. You always play what I call in. Seems whatever I need is your next spin. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Back porch for two, tiki torch style. Some tuned in me and you we haven't had for a while. Coming in strong, don't change that dial. You're my radio, you're my radio. You're my radio, you're my radio. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuned in, fell in, or were pushed in, you're listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. And our guest is Saul Knopf, right here from the state of Delaware, and his music is nothing but sweet. I can't even find the right words, but I guess sweet sweet will be good enough for lack of a better term. What do you think, old buddy?
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. You know, you said something years ago, and I actually took that line and used it because somebody said, you know, how would you describe your music? And you used the line. You said the first time I talked with you, you said, Saul, your music is just what the doctor ordered.
Uh-huh.
And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget when you said that. And I thought, wow, what a wonderful thing to say, or for somebody to say. And that stuck with me.
Yeah, because music, I mean, I don't care what kind of day you're having, or you know, might be down in the molly grub somewhere, but man, all of a sudden you hear a tune and your spirit's just uplifted. And that's the effect that music has on us, right?
It really does. It sure does. And that's what I strive for, is to try to touch people's lives in some way. Now, you know, my radio is more of just a feel-good kind of beat songs. There's no real message in that. But a lot of the songs that I write and release, a lot of them, a large percentage of them, have some sort of either a message or a positive spin on something. That's just kind of how I like to write. And you know, there's a lot of music out there that's sad, and that plays a role in our lives for sure. And a lot of wonderful, wonderful love songs, and love is such an important part of our lives for sure. But I like to write songs that have some sort of a really positive message if I can, without being preachy. It's kind of tough to do, but I try.
I always say it, and maybe people get tired of hearing me say this, but if I can hear a man's or a woman's heartbeat, I know they're for real. And I can hear your heartbeat. And ladies and gentlemen, I told you in the beginning that you might even shed a tear. If you think my baby girl got to you, listen to this.
He plays checkers every Sunday in the park. I've seen him there. Today he's alone. He waves to me and points to an empty chair. Offers me his hand and says, my name is Jack. What you do for a living, young man? I said, I'm a singer. Haven't made the big time, though I've tried. And it's been tough. Somehow the music gets me by. I would have sold my soul for a record to go gold, or for thousands on their feet to sing my songs. Jack tapped my arm and said, if you touch just one life, it won't stop right there. Like a pebble thrown in the pond, the waves of good will ripple on, circle around to hearts everywhere. That's right, if you touch just one life. He said I was 20, full of myself till they sent me to Vietnam. I got captured. Felt pain and fear I still don't understand. But I fought through tears on muddy knees, praying God would bring me home. I promised him I'd do all that I can. And here I am. If you touch just one life, it won't stop right there. Like a pebble thrown in the pond, the waves are good, will ripple on and circle around to hearts everywhere. That's right, if you touch just one life. So now I lend a helping hand to those who need lifting up. I try to forgive those who hurt me so much. As if we each touch just one life to heal the wounds in this old world. Just think of the good everyone could do tonight. That's right, if you touch just one life. Like a pebble thrown in the pond, the waves of good will ripple on and circle back to the one who tossed it there. That's right, you touch just one life. If you touch just one life, he plays checkers every Sunday in the park. I've seen him there.
You just never know who you're going to influence. A kind word, warm handshake,
That's right.
handshake, slap on the back, a hug, just even a
Yep.
smile.
That's exactly right. That's so true. Any time you can just make a difference in one person's life, it makes a difference in the world. It really does. You know, when we get involved in music, many times we have these delusions of grandeur, and where it's all about the ego and people paying attention to you and so forth. And then eventually, if you're any kind of man or woman, you grow out of that and realize that there's an opportunity to make a difference if you utilize it right. And so to be able to touch people's life in a positive way, and I think My Baby Girl was a perfect example of that, where, you know, I would get letters. I got a letter one time from a girl that said, and thanking us for the song and saying that it was the last dance she had with her father. He died 2 weeks after their wedding. He had been fighting cancer and stayed alive to make it to the wedding, to dance to her with that song. And then he passed like 2 weeks later. And it really, it showed me the power of, as far as the musical aspect of my life and what I can do there. But it also revealed to me that just being kind to somebody can make a difference in their life. Just being good to them, just helping somebody in some way, or letting somebody know how you feel about them and that you're there for them or whatever. And so that song really manifested out of that whole thought process. And of course, I'm very fond of men and women like you, my friend, who have served their country, and a big place in my heart for you guys. And I didn't serve my country, and so I feel as though I just have such gratitude for what you guys sacrificed, and it's emotional for me. So that's another big part of that song.
I understand, brother. I really do, and thank you very much. Ladies and
Yep.
gentlemen, we have a great, great, great human being with us tonight. A gentleman, fantastic songwriter, singer, musician, a man that you can hear his heartbeat. And we're so glad that you're here with us tonight, Saul. You can go to Solknopf, SOLKNOPF.com, and you can read all about it. The bio, the music, where he's going to be, so on and so forth. And I'd encourage you to go there, get his music, because you can play it over and over and over and over, and you'll never get tired of it. So, what do you got cooking in the pot? Anything cooking in the pot?
Oh man. Well, I've got a lot of different things cooking in the pot. As you know, I'm always moving forward, always looking at new projects. And I'm taking a little bit of a detour as far as I haven't done any recording this year. I spent last year writing an awful lot, but I was writing for other people, so it was a little bit of a different exercise there. I don't know whether much of the material fits me, but one thing that I'm looking to do is mentor some folks. I've been a solo performer for over 30 years, and I've played with groups too, but most of my career I've been a solo performer and have done over 7,000 gigs in my career. And one of the things that I'm interested in is helping other people that want to do that, want to learn how to do that. So I'm in the process of putting together a training program. It'll be an online training program for people. Now more than ever, people are, there's not security in their jobs, and people are a little bit more likely to choose to do something that they're passionate about rather than just what they feel they should do. And so there's more people getting involved in the music business now than ever before, I think, specifically doing kind of what I do. So I'm going to put like a little training program together. It's going to be a video series of me helping people with making the choice of what kind of equipment to get, how to prospect for work, how to price yourself, whether to contract, the do's and don'ts, the things that I've learned that have worked for me, the things that I've learned that did not work. So whether a person wants to do it part-time or full-time, they can kind of get a little bit of help from me. So it's really in the planning stages right now, but hopefully within the year, I'll have that together. And so that's one thing I'm doing. I'm actually teaching guitar for the first time in my life. I'm really enjoying that. I never thought that I would. So I'm enjoying that. And a new album is on the horizon, but I think it's going to be into next year before I do that. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to what this new year is going to bring for me. But it's stepping back a little bit from the writing just for a short time. I think my life has had seasons to it. I don't know if you can identify with that or not, but as a creative soul, sometimes I think it's good to have a little winter time or a little time where you kind of reflect and do a little bit of living. Mm-hmm. And then when you come back to your writing, you're writing with more life's experiences. And last year, it was more of an exercise in writing every day as an exercise, really, more so than as an inspiration, because professional writers write every day. They can't possibly be inspired every day. And so I spent a lot of time writing just because of that. But I'm taking a little break now, going to do a little bit of living, try some of these other projects, and then come back to my writing. And usually when I do that, I feel as though I have something worthwhile to say.
Yeah, something happens down inside when you give yourself. I like that. We need a little bit of winter time. When we give ourselves a little bit of winter time, something happens to us, and slowly but surely we get rejuvenated, and then all of a sudden that inspiration starts to flow again. And That mentoring.
That's exactly right.
That mentoring that you're talking about, oh my goodness, it's so needed, and
Yeah.
It I like to hear people say that because it's unselfish. It's somebody saying, I went through this and I went through that, and I fell over this and I tripped over that, and maybe if I can help some other man or woman or boy or girl, and they won't have to trip and fall and stumble like I did. I think
Right.
when I hear people talk like that, it just tickles me pink, and I think you should be complimented for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, it's you reach certain times of your life where it's only natural. I'm not going to be able to perform, at the same rate that I perform for every year of the rest of my life, and I know that to be true. So I think it's natural for me to start transitioning a little bit more into teaching and mentoring, and that way, if I get into the autumn of my life and my vocal cords don't want to cooperate with me, I can still make a living and make a difference in that way. So I'm just trying to find a way to transition gracefully. I'm not ready to give up my performing or my composing and writing and pursuing that, but I'm trying to be smart about it as well.
Well, your vocal cords are sounding fine to me, my brother. And ladies and gentlemen, here's another
Thank you.
one. Is it real?
I used to think love was a ghost in this house, the shadow on my wall, fading in and out. And how that you're here, you brought my dreams to life. And it feels so right that I wonder if it might be a little too good to be true. Is this the real deal? Is it real? Or is it just a dream? Is it real? Is it what it seems?
Last time someone held my heart in their hand, they let me drop like a toy in the sand. I ain't no child coming back to play. These eyes are open wide. I've learned the hard way. Sometimes we see in lovers only what we want to see. So I ask myself, is it real? Or is it just a dream? Is it real? Is it what it seems?
I'm getting lost in all the pretty places your love takes me.
If this is just a dream, I'm praying no one wakes me.
And if this isn't real, then why does it feel so good? It's gotta be real.
Feels so
say. Is it real? Is it real? Do you love how this feels now? Oh, yeah. Yes, it will. Yeah.
Wow. My brother,
Mhm.
I want to thank you so very, very much for taking time out of
My
your busy
pleasure.
schedule to be with us here tonight. Listen, I'll PM you tomorrow and find out a good time
Okay.
that we can lip trip a little bit on the telephone, and
Okay.
maybe we can even fix it up that we'll meet somewhere, someplace. Because, man, you're just a wonderful individual, bud.
Thank you, brother. Likewise.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Likewise. Yeah,
go ahead.
reach out to me anytime, brother. I'm up for it, definitely.
All righty. Ladies and gentlemen, I know his music has touched your soul, and we're going to let him go because I know he's a very busy man. But thank you from the bottom of my heart. And next time, it won't be so long between times. How about that?
That sounds like a plan.
All right,
Thanks,
buddy.
George.
I'll be getting up with you. And
All right,
thank
good night,
you.
everybody.
Thank you so very, very much.
All right, brother. Take care, everybody.
All
Bye-bye.
right, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, that is one fine individual. My goodness gracious. Let me remind you that Friday night, now you're not going to want to miss this. Friday night, we're going to put chairs in the chat room because you won't be sitting in the whole chair, because by the time it's all said and done, you'll be sitting on the edge of your chair. Friday night, listen to me very carefully. We're going to have a man by the name of Espenlaub. He is a man that at the age of 15 was a terrorist. He is a man, I think, about somewhere in his 50s or 60s now. But he is going to take us on a journey. He has written a book that has just been published, and I'll put all that up on our the George Espenlaub show page on Facebook. He is in the process of doing radio interviews, television interviews. He's in the process of making his way to L.A. Because they want to make his life and his book into a movie. So you will not want to miss Friday night. You will be sitting on the edge of your chair as we talk with Mr. Espenlaub. And I know that you will be intrigued by the transformation that took place in this man's life. He'll take you through his struggles, the battles, both physically, mentally, spiritually, that he went through. And so Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mr. Espenlaub will be with us, and you won't want to miss it. Wow. Was Saul awesome tonight or what? I mean, that music is just, it'll touch you. It'll touch you. Now, I want you to hear this other song that I'm going to play by Saul, because it just says what everything else he's already said. But listen to this, Average Joe.
Grandpa's photograph was hard to see. He pointed and said, I think that guy is me.
There's Hal and Frank, they were from Des Moines. They lied about their age so they could join. We were all like brothers, a family made by war. And see this guy right here, one stripe on his uniform. His name was Joe, just an average Joe. And he was the best friend I would ever know. He carried me when I was in pain. And you know, for him I would have done the same. Sometimes the greatest heroes you know are just an average Joe. Our company dug in so close to the fight, we could see them light their cigarettes at night. We slept one eye open, ear to the muddy ground. And as long as I live, I'll never forget that sound. When they stormed our foxhole, one cut me with a knife. It was hand to hand and man to man, and one man saved my life. His name was Joe, just an average Joe. And he was the best friend I would ever know. He carried me, oh, through the fire and rain. And you know, for him I would have done the same. Sometimes the greatest heroes you know are just an average Joe. Sometimes the greatest heroes you know are just an average Joe.
Average Joe by Knopf. Wow. Thank you again, old buddy, for being with us tonight. I sure did appreciate it. And I know that everyone that listened and everyone that will listen to it later will appreciate everything that was said and done and heard here tonight. Wow. Remember, you can come back and listen if you know someone that didn't hear us live tonight, or you only heard part of it, whatever. You can always come back and listen to it again, and you can even download it. Now, we're not only here on Spreaker. This is the platform we launch off of, but we're on iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube. God, I don't even know. I don't even know where we're at. I know that I know those, but I don't know where else. I know we're out there somewhere flying around. But you can come back here and you can even download it if you want to. It don't cost you anything, nothing at all. And you can listen to it anytime you want to. And you can go to any one of those other places, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, so on and so forth. All right. Oh, what a night, huh? Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, friends, Romans, and countrymen. I want to thank you. Whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or around this great big world, I thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I told you it would touch your emotional buttons down deep inside of your soul, and it was a wonderful time. I want you all to know that I love you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all the fine comments that we're getting. Thank you for being there. And so, until Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is George Espenlaub challenging you. Be kind to one another. Love one another. Stop and help each other out every now and then. And whether it's daytime, where you're at, if it is, have a great day. If it's nighttime, have a great night. But somewhere in between, you just keep on keeping on. So until next time, from Charlie, Miss Ernestine, Gertrude Duflicky, Harvey, and all the gang here, Travis, Pammy, our upper driver, and all the other people here that makes up the Funny Farm. We love you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, God bless you, keep you in His hands, and we'll see you later.